Captain Minho Park stood on the bridge of the Indomitable and watched the stars through the main window. His ship moved through space faster than light, something humans had only learned to do 3 years ago. Behind him, his crew worked at their stations, checking numbers and watching screens. "Captain, we're getting close to the border," said Ji-Won Lee from her communication station. She was young, only 24, but she was good at her job. Her sister worked in engineering, 2 decks below. Minho nodded. "Slow us down. Let's be careful here." The Indomitable was an exploration ship. Humans had built it to find new worlds and meet other intelligent life. So far, humans had found 3 planets good enough for colonies. New Sol was the farthest one, sitting 12 light years from Earth. 2,000 people lived there now, farming and building homes under an orange sun. Dr. Yuna Kim walked onto the bridge carrying her tablet. She was the ship's expert on alien life, though she had never actually met an alien. No human had. Earth scientists knew other species existed because they had picked up radio signals from space for decades. They had listened and learned, but they had never made contact. "Are we really doing this?" Yuna asked. She stood next to Minho and looked out at the stars. "Admiral Taiyang's orders are clear," Minho said. "We explore, we learn. And if we meet anyone out here, we say hello." "I've prepared the greeting messages," Yuna said. "Mathematics, physics, basic chemistry, universal languages. Any species that can build radios will understand." Ji-Won's screen beeped. "Captain, I'm picking up something, a ship. It's not human." Every person on the bridge stopped what they were doing. This was the moment humans had waited for. First contact. The chance to prove they belonged among the stars. "Can you show me?" Minho asked. The main screen changed. It showed a ship that looked nothing like human designs. It was long and thin, covered in smooth plates that reflected light in strange ways. The ship was beautiful and frightening at the same time. "They're not moving toward us," Ji-Won said. "They're just sitting there." "Send the greeting messages," Minho ordered. "All frequencies." Yuna worked quickly. She sent mathematical sequences, then pictures showing Earth and human biology. She sent messages of peace in 50 different formats. The bridge was silent as they waited. 5 minutes passed. Then 10. "Captain, they're responding," Ji-Won said. Her voice shook a little. The screen filled with symbols that humans had never seen before. Then pictures appeared. The aliens were tall and thin with 4 arms and skin that looked like gray metal. Their eyes were large and dark. They looked powerful and ancient. "What are they saying?" Minho asked. Yuna studied the messages quickly. "They're using mathematical responses. Basic communication protocols. I think they're asking who we are and what we want." "Tell them we're humans from Earth," Minho said. "Tell them we come in peace and want to learn about other species." Yuna sent the message. They waited again. This time the response came faster. More symbols. More pictures. Then something that made Yuna's face go pale. "What is it?" Minho demanded. "They're asking how long we've been in space," Yuna said. "I told them 3 years since we learned to go faster than light." "Captain, they're sending back coordinates and a warning symbol." The alien ship moved. It turned to face the Indomitable directly. "Shields up," Minho ordered. "But don't charge weapons. We don't want to seem hostile." "Captain, they're charging weapons," said the tactical officer. "Energy readings are climbing fast." Minho felt his chest tighten. "Ji-Won, send a message. Tell them we mean no harm. Tell them we're peaceful." "I'm trying, sir, but..." The alien ship fired. A beam of pure energy shot through space and hit the Indomitable's shields. The ship shook hard. Lights flickered. Someone screamed from the back of the bridge, "Return fire!" Minho shouted. "Get us out of here!" The Indomitable's weapons were simple compared to alien technology. Humans had built railguns that shot metal slugs at high speed. The ship fired 3 times. 1 shot missed. 2 hit the alien ship's shields and did nothing. The alien fired again. This time the beam punched through the Indomitable's shields and tore into the ship's side. Metal screamed. Air rushed out into space. Emergency doors slammed shut. "Engineering is venting atmosphere," Ji-Won shouted. "We've got casualties." "Jump to light speed," Minho ordered. "Right now." "We need 30 seconds to charge the drive," the pilot said. His hands moved fast over his controls. The alien ship moved closer. It was hunting them. 20 seconds. The Indomitable's weapons fired again. Still nothing. 15 seconds. Another beam hit their hull. More damage. More alarms. Drive is charged. The pilot shouted, "Go!" Space twisted around the Indomitable. The ship jumped to faster than light speed and left the alien behind. But the damage was done. Minho ran to engineering. The deck was a mess of twisted metal and broken equipment. Medical teams were already there, working on the injured. He found Jiwon kneeling next to someone on the floor. When he got closer, he saw it was her sister. The young engineer wasn't moving. "She's gone," a medic said softly. "She died instantly when the hull breached." Jiwon didn't cry. She just stared at her sister's face and held her hand. 2 other crew members had died too. Young people with families back on Earth. People who had volunteered to explore space and meet new friends among the stars. Instead, they had met something that hated them on sight. Back on the bridge, Yuna was studying the data they had gathered from the encounter. "Captain, I think I understand what happened. Look at this." She showed him the aliens' messages again. "These symbols here. I think they're saying we're too young, too new. They're saying we don't have the right to be out here." "The right?" Minho said. "This is open space. Nobody owns it." "I don't think they see it that way," Yuna said. "I think they have rules. Old rules. And we just broke them by being here." The Indomitable limped back toward Earth. It took them 3 days. When they arrived, Admiral Taeyang was waiting at the space station. He listened to everything. He looked at the damage. He read Yuna's reports about the alien messages. "They're called Talaxians," Taeyang said. He was an old man with gray hair and tired eyes. "We've identified their language from old radio signals. They control a big part of the galaxy, and they just sent us a message." "What does it say?" Minho asked. Taeyang pulled up a screen. It showed the same alien symbols they had seen before, but now translated into human language. The message was simple and terrifying. "Leave space immediately. Return to your homeworld. You have one of your solar cycles to remove all colonies and ships. If you do not obey, we will remove you ourselves. You are too primitive to claim territory. This is the law of the galaxy. You have no rights here." He never did. The room was silent. Finally, Minho spoke. "What are you going to tell them, Admiral?" Taeyang looked at the message for a long time. "I'm going to tell them no. Humans worked too hard to reach the stars. We're not going back into our cage just because someone thinks we're too young to be free." "They'll attack Earth," Yuna said. "I know," Taeyang said. "And when they do, they're going to learn something important about humans. We don't give up. We don't surrender, and we definitely don't go quietly." He turned to face them all. "Get the Indomitable repaired. Talk to every crew member who was on that ship. I need to know everything about Talaxian weapons, shields, and tactics. Because in a few weeks they're coming here, and we're going to be ready." Minho thought about Jiwon's sister lying dead on the engineering deck. He thought about the alien ship firing without warning. He thought about the message that said humans had no rights among the stars. "What do we do if we can't win?" someone asked. Taeyang smiled, but it wasn't a happy smile. "Then we make them pay for every meter of space they take. Humans might be new to the galaxy, but we're very, very old at war." The Talaxian fleet limped toward Mars. High Regent Vecthar sat in his command throne and tried to understand how everything had gone so wrong. He had started this campaign with 500 ships and absolute confidence. Now he had barely 200 and his warriors were afraid. "My lord, we're detecting something strange," Commander Rickson said. "The space around Mars is filled with objects. Thousands of them." "Mines?" Vecthar asked. "No, sir. They appear to be cameras. And transmitters. The humans are watching us." Vecthar felt anger rise in his chest. The humans were treating this like entertainment. They were studying the Talaxian fleet like scientists studying insects. It was humiliating. "Ignore them," Vecthar ordered. "Advance." But as the Talaxian ships moved closer to Mars, Admiral Taeyang sat in his underground command center on Earth and smiled. Every camera, every sensor, every piece of space debris near Mars was sending him information. He knew exactly where each Talaxian ship was. He knew their formation. He knew which ships were damaged. He knew everything. "They're close enough," Taeyang said. "Activate the Mars defense system." Mars had been humanity's first attempt at terraforming another planet. For decades, scientists had worked to warm it up and give it a thicker atmosphere. The project was far from complete, but it had given humans something valuable: infrastructure. And infrastructure could be weaponized. Massive railgun installations hidden under the Martian surface activated. These weren't the simple weapons that had fired from Saturn's moons. These were enormous magnetic accelerators that used Mars's own iron-rich soil as ammunition. They could throw massive chunks of rock at speeds that made them nearly impossible to detect or avoid. The Martian surface erupted. Dozens of launch sites fired simultaneously. Thousands of tons of rock, metal, and ice flew toward the Talaxian fleet. The projectiles were crude and ugly, but they were devastatingly effective. A boulder the size of a truck hit a Talaxian cruiser's shields. The shields held, but the impact drained their power. 2 more boulders hit the same ship seconds later. The shields failed. The 4th boulder punched through the hull like paper. Evasive action, Rickson shouted. All ships scatter! But scattering was exactly what the humans wanted. As the Talaxian formation broke apart, human warships finally appeared. They had been hiding behind Mars, using the planet's gravity to mask their energy signatures. Now they struck like wolves attacking scattered sheep. Pilot Kyung-min led the first attack. His fighter squadron was small, only 12 ships against hundreds of Talaxian vessels. But Kyung-min had learned something important during simulations. Human pilots could survive maneuvers that would kill most aliens. Brake hard left, Kyung-min commanded. 7G turn. His fighter twisted through space at an angle that made the stars blur. The G-forces crushed him into his seat, but his pressure suit kept his blood from pooling in his legs. Talaxian pilots, evolved in lower gravity, couldn't handle forces this extreme without passing out. The Talaxian fighter that had been chasing Kyung-min couldn't follow the turn. It flew straight while Kyung-min curved behind it. One shot from his railgun tore through the enemy's engine. The Talaxian ship tumbled away, dead in space. This is actually fun, Kyung-min said over the radio. Who's next? All around the battlefield, the same thing happened. Human pilots used Earth's high gravity as an advantage. They made turns that seemed impossible. They survived accelerations that would knock out other species. The Talaxians had better ships, but humans had better pilots. On one of the Talaxian cruisers, Sergeant Nario led her boarding team through the corridors. The humans had attached their transport to the enemy ship's hull and burned through with cutting torches. Now 12 human Marines were inside, moving fast and striking hard. Contact front, someone shouted. 4 Talaxian soldiers appeared around a corner. They were taller than humans and carried energy weapons that could cut through metal. But they moved slowly, carefully. They were following their training. They were fighting with honor and discipline. Nari threw a grenade around the corner. The Talaxians had a moment to look confused before the explosion threw them backward. Nari's team rushed forward, firing short bursts. 2 Talaxians went down. The other 2 tried to retreat in good order, covering each other. Forget honor, Nari said. Just win. She shot the ceiling above the retreating Talaxians. Debris fell on them. While they were distracted, her team finished them. Command, we're in, Nari reported, heading to engineering, going to plant the present. The present was a bomb built from antimatter stolen from the supply depot Captain Minho had raided. It wasn't enough antimatter to destroy the cruiser completely, but it would cripple the ship and kill everyone aboard. Nari felt a moment of guilt. These Talaxian crew members weren't warriors. Most were technicians and engineers, people with families back home. But she remembered Ji-won's sister dying in the first attack. She remembered the Talaxian message saying humans had no right to exist. Plant the charge, she ordered. We're leaving. Her team moved back to their transport. They sealed the hatches and pushed away from the Talaxian ship. 10 seconds later, the bomb detonated. The cruiser's center section exploded outward. The ship broke into 3 pieces. That's number 6, Nari said quietly. How many more to go? Across the solar system, Captain Minho's stealth ship Silent Fury hunted Talaxian supply convoys. Captain Soyeon Lim commanded the ship now, since Minho had been promoted to lead the entire raiding squadron. Soyeon was patient and clever, perfect for stealth operations. Target acquired, said the tactical officer. Talaxian transport carrying what looks like medical supplies. Soyeon thought carefully. Medical supplies meant wounded Talaxians. Wounded meant they were already suffering. But supplies also meant they could fight longer. Disable the engines, but don't destroy the ship, Soyeon ordered. Let them drift. Let them call for rescue. Every ship that stops to help them is one less ship fighting at Mars. The Silent Fury fired a precise shot that destroyed the transport's engines without breaching the hull. The Talaxian ship went dark, tumbling slowly through space. Then Soyeon's ship vanished back into the darkness, hunting for the next target. On Earth, Dr. Junho's psychological warfare campaign was reaching every Talaxian ship. His messages were simple but effective. Images of destroyed Talaxian vessels, counts of how many ships had been lost, recordings of Talaxian distress calls that went unanswered. But Junho's most devastating weapon was truth. He showed the Talaxians what humans really were. Not a primitive species playing with stolen technology, not children pretending to be warriors, but survivors, a species that had clawed its way to the top of its planet's food chain through intelligence, adaptability, and sheer stubbornness. You think you're winning because you're old, Junho's messages said, but age makes you cautious. Age makes you afraid to adapt. Humans are young. We change fast. We learn from every mistake. You've lost more ships in this war than in your last 1,000 years of glorious combat, and we're just getting started. The messages worked. Talaxian morale crumbled. Warriors who had been confident now questioned their orders. Some ships reported equipment failures that were really just crews refusing to fight. The Talaxian Empire had never faced an enemy that attacked their minds as well as their ships. Commander Rixon stood before High Regent Vekthar and delivered his report. My lord, we've lost 40 more ships at Mars. Our supply lines are cut. Our communication networks are compromised. The humans have freed several of our client species who are now providing intelligence to the enemy. How many ships do we have left? Vekthar asked quietly. 137 combat-effective vessels, Rixon said. And morale is low. Vekthar felt centuries of Talaxian pride crumbling inside him. We started with 500 ships. How did we lose more than half our fleet to a species that just learned to travel faster than light 3 years ago? Because we underestimated them, my lord. We thought age and experience meant superiority, but the humans understand something we forgot. War isn't about honor or glory. War is about survival, and they're very good at surviving. Recommend we retreat, Rixon continued. Fall back to our nearest outpost. Request reinforcements. Approach this conflict with the seriousness it deserves. Vekthar wanted to refuse. The idea of retreating from primitives was unbearable. But he was a leader, and leaders had to face reality. Send the retreat order, he said finally, but make it clear this isn't surrender. This is strategic withdrawal. We'll come back stronger. My lord, Rixon said carefully. May I speak freely? Yes. Perhaps we should consider that coming back isn't wise. Perhaps we should let the humans keep their small corner of space. The cost of defeating them may be more than the Empire can afford. Vekthar looked at his commander with surprise. You're suggesting we abandon this campaign entirely? I'm suggesting the humans have proven they deserve to exist among the stars. They've earned it with blood and courage. Maybe the old law about young species is wrong. Maybe we should change it. Before Vekthar could respond, alarms rang through the ship. My lord, human ship's approaching. They're not waiting for us to retreat. They're attacking! Admiral Taeyang had no intention of letting the Talaxians leave peacefully. Every ship that escaped was a ship that might return with reinforcements. This war needed to end here. The Talaxian fleet moved through the outer solar system like a wall of metal and energy. High Regent Vekthar sat in his command throne on the flagship Eternal Glory and watched the primitive planet called Earth growing larger on his screens. Around him, his officers worked calmly. This was going to be easy. Commander Rixon, report, Vekthar commanded. Rixon was a veteran warrior with decorations covering his uniform. My lord, we detect no major human fleet. Only a few dozen ships near the 6th planet, the one with the rings. Should we destroy them? Ignore them, Vekthar said. They're running scared. We'll deal with them after we claim Earth, maintain formation. Let's show these primitives what real power looks like. The fleet approached Saturn, moving in perfect rows. 500 warships, each one larger and more advanced than anything humans had built. Vekthar felt proud. In 3 days, maybe 4, this would be over. The humans would be back on their planet, and the galaxy would be safe from another dangerous young species. That's when Saturn's rings exploded. 10,000 drones burst from hiding spots among the ice and rock. They were small and fast, each one carrying a nuclear warhead. The Talaxian sensors screamed warnings, but there were too many targets to track. Defensive fire, Rixon shouted. All ships engage. The Talaxian ships fired energy beams into the swarm. They destroyed hundreds of drones, then hundreds more. But for every drone they killed, 5 got closer. The humans had built their drones with one purpose: get close and explode. They didn't try to dodge. They didn't try to survive. They just flew straight at the Talaxian ships. Pilot Kyungmin Bayek watched from his hidden position on one of Saturn's moons. He controlled a squadron of drones from his console, guiding them into the enemy formation. He had practiced this maneuver 1,000 times in simulations. Now it was real. Group 7, target the large ship in Sector 4, he said calmly. Multiple impact on the same shield point. Now. 40 drones swarmed toward one Talaxian cruiser. The first drone hit the shield and exploded. The shield held. The second drone hit the same spot. The shield flickered. The third, fourth, and fifth drones hit within seconds of each other. The shield collapsed. The remaining drones punched through and hit the ship's hull. The cruiser broke apart in a ball of nuclear fire. Kyungmin allowed himself a small smile. That's one. Group 8, next target. Across the battlefield, the same thing happened again and again. The Talaxians had strong shields and powerful weapons, but they had never faced an enemy willing to trade 10 or 20 drones for one ship. Humans had built the drones cheap and simple. They cost less than missiles, and there were thousands of them. My lord, we've lost 15 ships, Rickson reported. His calm voice was starting to crack. The drones are everywhere. Spread out the fleet, Vekthar ordered. Break formation. Hunt them down individually. It was exactly what Admiral Taeyang wanted them to do. As the Talaxian fleet spread out to chase the remaining drones, hidden weapons platforms on Saturn's moons activated. These weren't sophisticated systems. They were railguns. Simple magnetic accelerators that threw chunks of tungsten at incredible speeds. The projectiles had no engines, no shields, no guidance systems. They were just metal moving at a fraction of light speed. The Talaxians never saw them coming. A tungsten rod hit a Talaxian destroyer in the engine section. The kinetic energy was enormous. The ship's back half simply ceased to exist. The front half tumbled through space, leaking air and bodies. More railgun rounds flew through the battlefield. Some missed, many hit. The Talaxians couldn't see where the shots were coming from. The projectiles were too small and too fast to detect until impact. Ships that had survived the drone swarm now found themselves taking fire from invisible weapons. Retreat to Jupiter, Vekthar commanded. Reform there and assess our losses. The Talaxian fleet pulled back, leaving the wreckage of 37 warships floating in Saturn's orbit. They had been in human space for less than an hour. On Earth, Admiral Taeyang watched the battle reports with satisfaction. First phase complete. Activate the psychological warfare. Dr. Junho's specially prepared messages began broadcasting on every frequency. The Talaxians received images of human history, wars that lasted decades, cities burned to ash and rebuilt only to burn again, soldiers fighting in frozen mountains and burning deserts, weapons that could destroy entire cities in seconds. But Junho's most effective message was simpler. It showed a human child's drawing of Earth, with a simple message written in mathematical symbols the Talaxians could understand. This is our home. We will never give it up. How many of your ships are you willing to lose? Commander Rickson studied his screens in the temporary safety of Jupiter's orbit. 217 ships remained out of 500. In less than an hour, the humans had destroyed more than half of his fleet. And they hadn't even used their main warships yet. My lord, we should call for reinforcements, Rickson said carefully. These humans are not what we expected. Vekthar's face showed emotions that Talaxians rarely displayed. Anger, confusion, something that might have been fear. Reinforcements would take weeks to arrive. Are you saying we cannot defeat a primitive species with the force we have? I'm saying they're not primitive, Rickson replied. Look at their tactics. They sacrificed unmanned drones without hesitation. They used Saturn's rings for cover. They attacked from hidden positions. This isn't the behavior of a new species. This is the behavior of a species that understands war very well. Then we'll show them what real war looks like, Vekthar said. We advance to Mars. We destroy every human installation in our path. We make them too afraid to resist. But while the Talaxians regrouped at Jupiter, Captain Minho's ship Indomitable was already past them, heading toward Talaxian supply lines. With him were 5 other human ships, all modified for stealth and speed. There, said the tactical officer. Talaxian supply depot, just like intelligence predicted. Minho looked at the massive space station hanging in orbit around a small moon. It was filled with fuel and ammunition meant to resupply the invasion fleet. Do we destroy it? No, sir, Jiwan said from her station. Admiral's orders. We steal it. It seemed impossible. The station was huge and well defended. But humans had something the Talaxians didn't expect. Hackers. Specialist Jinwoo Park was the best. He had studied Talaxian computer systems for weeks, learning their languages and protocols. I'm in, Jinwoo said. His fingers flew over his keyboard. Their security is good, but it assumes attackers will use military force. Nobody thought someone would just ask the computers politely to open the doors. How long until we're detected? Minho asked. Already detected, sir. But I told their system it was a scheduled resupply ship. We have maybe 20 minutes before someone notices we're human. It was enough. The human ships docked with the supply station. Soldiers poured through the airlocks. The Talaxian crew, only 12 aliens managing the automated systems, surrendered without a fight. They had never imagined anyone would attack a supply depot so far from the battle. Load everything we can carry, Minho ordered. Fuel, ammunition, food, medical supplies. Leave nothing useful. While his crew worked, Minho walked through the station. He saw how the Talaxians lived. Clean spaces, comfortable quarters. Everything organized and efficient. These weren't warriors. They were bureaucrats in uniforms. They had been playing at war for so long they forgot what real war looked like. Juwon found him staring at a Talaxian family picture on a desk. They have families, she said quietly. Just like us. Yes, Minho said. But they came to destroy ours. Remember that. They took everything valuable and planted explosives throughout the station. As the human ships pulled away, Minho activated the charges. The station erupted in fire. Without fuel and ammunition, the Talaxian fleet at Jupiter would have to retreat or run out of supplies. Meanwhile, on a distant Talaxian colony world, something unexpected was happening. The colony was populated by Villani, a species the Talaxians had conquered 3,000 years ago. The Villani were small and furry, with large eyes and gentle dispositions. They had been slaves for so long they barely remembered freedom. Dr. Yuna Kim's shuttle landed near their main city. She came alone, armed only with a translator and a message of hope. The Villani leaders gathered to meet this strange alien. "Why are you here, human?" asked an elder named Kethis. "To offer you a deal," Yuna said. "The Talaxians are at war with my people. They're losing. Soon their empire will be weak. If you help us, we'll help you win your freedom." "We are not warriors," Kethis said sadly. "The Talaxians took that from us long ago." "You don't need to fight," Yuna said. "You just need to tell us where the Talaxian military keeps their supplies, where their commanders live, where their ships are built. Information is a weapon too." Kethis looked at his fellow Villani. For the first time in 3,000 years, they saw hope. "What guarantee do we have that you won't betray us like the Talaxians did?" Yuna pulled out a tablet and showed them images of Earth. "This is my home. The Talaxians want to destroy it. They say we're too young to deserve freedom. They said the same thing about you once, didn't they? We're fighting for the same thing. The right to exist, the right to choose our own path." The Villani elder thought for a long moment. The Talaxians have a saying, "The young should obey the old." Ambassador Suman Kang walked into the Galactic Council chamber and felt very small. The room was enormous, built for species much larger than humans. Her seat was at the very bottom level, in the section reserved for new species. Above her, representatives from 47 different alien civilizations watched her with eyes that looked nothing like human eyes. "The Council recognizes Earth," said a voice that came from everywhere at once. The translation system turned the alien words into Korean in Suman's ear. She stood up and spoke clearly. "Thank you, honored members. I come before you to ask for justice. The Talaxian Empire attacked a human ship without warning. They killed 3 of our people. Now they demand we leave space entirely. We asked the Council to intervene and stop this aggression." There was silence, then something that might have been laughter from several of the larger species. A Talaxian representative stood. He was tall and thin with gray skin and 4 arms. The human speaks of justice but understands nothing. Humans have existed in space for only 3 years. By Council law, only species with 10,000 years of spacefaring experience may claim territory. Humans are children playing with toys they don't understand. We gave them a warning. They ignored it. Now we will enforce the law. "What law?" Suman demanded. "Show me this written law. Show me where it says young species must stay prisoners on their own worlds." "It is tradition," the Talaxian said. "It is how things have always been done. Young species are dangerous. They must prove themselves worthy before they spread through the galaxy." Another alien stood. This one looked like a floating ball of light. "I have studied human history," it said in a musical voice. "These creatures are fascinating. They reached space while still fighting wars on their own planet. Most species achieve peace before they build starships. Humans brought their violence with them. That's not fair, Suman said. We're trying to learn. We're trying to be peaceful. Yet you refused our demand to leave space, the Talaxian said. That is an act of war. You attacked us first. Suman's voice rose. She forced herself to stay calm. We sent messages of peace. You responded with weapons. How is that following your own laws? Enough, said the head of the council, a massive creature that looked like a living mountain. The council has reviewed the evidence. While the Talaxian attack was premature, their concern is valid. Humanity is too new and too volatile. We cannot risk allowing them to expand. The council sides with the Talaxian Empire. Humanity must return to Earth or face consequences. Suman felt her heart sink. You're condemning us for being young. You're punishing us for daring to dream of the stars. We are protecting the galaxy, the council head said. This session is concluded. On Earth, Admiral Taiyang gathered his officers in a room deep underground. The room had no windows and thick walls. Maps of the solar system covered every screen. The council rejected our appeal, Taiyang said. The Talaxian fleet is 3 weeks away. 500 warships. They expect us to surrender or die quickly. Colonel Daehyun Song leaned forward. He was a soldier with scars on his face and cold eyes. Have we finished the analysis of their weapons? Yes, said Engineer Hyejinan. She was small and quiet, but when she spoke, everyone listened. Their energy weapons are more advanced than ours. Their shields are strong. Ship to ship, they're better than us in every way. Then we don't fight ship to ship, Daehyun said. We fight the way humans have always fought when we're outnumbered and outgunned. We cheat, Taeyang nodded. Show them. Hyejin pulled up new images. For the last 2 years, we've been building these in secret. Unmanned drones. Each one carries a nuclear warhead. They're cheap to make and don't need shields. They just need to get close to an enemy ship. How many do we have? Someone asked. 10,000, Hyejin said. And we can make more. Daehyun smiled. The Talaxians think we'll line up our ships and fight with honor. They think war has rules. But humans learned a long time ago that the only rule in war is to survive. What about their shields? Another officer asked. We've been working on that too, Hyejin said. She showed a video of a test. A drone flew at a shield barrier and exploded. The shield held. Then 10 drones flew at the same spot, one after another. The first 9 explosions weakened the shield. The 10th got through. Concentrated fire. Multiple impacts on the same point. Their shields can't handle it. Dr. Yuna Kim raised her hand. She looked uncomfortable in the military meeting. I've been studying their culture through the radio signals we've collected. The Talaxians evolved on a world with light gravity and lots of resources. They've never known hunger. They've never known real war. Their battles are ceremonial. They fight to prove status, not to exterminate enemies. So they're soft, Daehyun said. No, Yuna corrected. They're inexperienced. They think war is about honor and glory. They don't understand what humans know. War is about survival. War is about doing whatever it takes to protect your family. Taeyang stood up. Here's what we're going to do. We've placed weapon platforms on every moon and large asteroid in the solar system. We've hidden drone swarms in Saturn's rings. We've turned Earth's orbital space into a minefield. When the Talaxians arrive, they're not going to find a few primitive ships. They're going to find a trap. What if it's not enough? Someone asked quietly. Then we have a backup plan, Taeyang said. Colonel Daehyun has trained special teams. If the Talaxians get past our defenses, if they reach Earth, we'll fight them on the ground. We'll fight them in our cities. We'll fight them in our homes. And we'll make them regret every step they take. Daehyun nodded. Guerrilla warfare. Humans perfected it over thousands of years. We've fought in jungles and deserts and mountains. We've learned how to make every rock and tree into a weapon. If they want Earth, they'll have to pay for it in blood. Back on the Indomitable, now repaired and upgraded, Captain Minho walked through the corridors. Ji-won was back at her station, but she was different now. Quieter. Harder. Are you okay? Minho asked her during a quiet moment. No, Ji-won said honestly. But I will be. After we make them pay for what they did. The Admiral has a mission for us, Minho said. When the Talaxian fleet arrives, we're not staying with the main force. We're going to slip past them. And do what? Hit their supply lines. The Talaxians have to travel a long way to reach Earth. They need fuel and food. We're going to make sure they don't get it. Ji-won smiled for the first time in weeks. Guerrilla warfare in space. I like it. Dr. Junho Han worked in a small office filled with screens. He was a psychologist, not a soldier, but Taeyang had given him an important job. I need you to break them, the admiral had said. Not their ships, their minds. Junho studied everything humans knew about Talaxian psychology. He learned about their culture, their fears, their sense of honor. Then he created messages designed to terrify them. Images of human history, pictures of ancient wars, videos of humans fighting each other with terrible weapons. The message was simple. You're not fighting a primitive species. You're fighting a species that has been at war for 10,000 years. Every weapon you fear, we invented. Every tactic you use, we've faced before. You think you're going to conquer Earth? Humans have fought off invasions for millennia. What makes you think you'll be different? Will it work? Taeyang asked when he saw the messages. Maybe, Junho said. The Talaxians think they're superior. They think age and experience make them wise. But they've never faced an enemy like humans. We don't fight for glory. We fight because we're afraid of extinction. Fear makes us dangerous. 3 weeks passed quickly. Earth prepared for war. Factories worked day and night making weapons. Soldiers trained in new tactics. Scientists invented new ways to kill. Children were evacuated to underground shelters deep in the mountains. On the edge of the solar system, sensors detected something massive approaching. 500 Talaxian warships dropped out of faster-than-light travel near Pluto. They formed into neat rows and columns, a perfect military formation. A message came from the lead ship. Admiral Taeyang played it for everyone on Earth to hear. Humans of Earth, this is High Regent Vecthar of the Talaxian Empire. We gave you time to leave space. You refused. Now we will remove you by force. Surrender immediately, and we will allow your species to survive on your homeworld. Resist, and we will consider it an act of war against the entire galaxy. You have 1 hour to decide. Taeyang sat in his command center surrounded by screens and officers. Everyone waited for his response. He thought about the 3 crew members who died on the Indomitable. He thought about the Council rejecting humanity's plea for justice. He thought about every human who had ever looked up at the stars and dreamed of touching them. He opened a communication channel that broadcast on every frequency, both to the Talaxian fleet and to every listening station in the galaxy. His voice was calm and cold. High Regent Vecthar, this is Admiral Taeyang Choi of Earth's United Defense Fleet. You came to our space. You attacked our people. You told us we have no right to exist among the stars. You're wrong. Humans have earned our place through intelligence and courage. We don't need your permission. We don't need the Council's approval. We are here. We will stay here. And if you want to remove us, you're going to learn something the galaxy forgot. Humans are survivors. We've survived ice ages and plagues and asteroids. Commander Rixen watched his command screen and felt his world collapse. The eternal glory was gone. High Regent Vecthar was dead. The Talaxian fleet had no leadership and no hope. All ships, full retreat, Rixen commanded. Jump to light speed. Get out of this system now. But the human ships weren't letting them go easily. Boarding teams had planted tracking devices on many Talaxian vessels. Wherever they ran, humans would follow. And the Talaxians had learned that running from humans was like running from a predator. It only made them chase harder. Rixen's ship was one of the last to escape. As he entered lightspeed and left the solar system behind, he looked at his final casualty report. Of 500 ships that had entered human space, only 93 were escaping. More than 400 ships destroyed or captured. Thousands of Talaxian lives lost, all because they had underestimated a species they considered primitive. Back on Earth, Admiral Taeyang stood in his command center and watched the last Talaxian ships flee. His officers cheered and hugged each other. Some cried with relief. They had done the impossible. They had defeated an empire that had ruled the galaxy for millennia, but Taeyang didn't feel like celebrating. He thought about the human ships that had been destroyed, the pilots who hadn't come home, the cities on Earth that had prepared for invasion but never got attacked because the war never made it that far. Contact the Galactic Council, Taeyang ordered. Tell them humanity requests an immediate session. We have things to discuss. 3 days later, Ambassador Sumin Kang walked into the Galactic Council chamber again. But this time was different. This time, every alien representative watched her with something new in their eyes. Not dismissal. Not amusement. Fear. The Council recognizes Earth, said the head of the Council. Suman stood in the same small seat at the bottom level, but she didn't feel small anymore. Thank you, honored members. I come before you to discuss the future of humanity's place in the galaxy. 3 weeks ago, you told us we had no right to exist in space. You sided with the Talaxian Empire when they declared war on us. Now the Talaxian Empire has lost that war. 400 ships destroyed, their High Regent dead, their fleet scattered, and humanity stands victorious. Silence filled the enormous chamber. Finally, the council head spoke. The council acknowledges that humanity has proven its strength. What are your demands? First, humanity claims the right to exist in space without permission from anyone. We will settle new worlds. We will explore. We will build. No species has the authority to stop us. Second, the old law saying young species have no territorial rights is abolished. From now on, every intelligent species has the right to the stars regardless of age. Third, the Galactic Council will offer full membership to Earth, not provisional, not temporary. Full membership with all rights and responsibilities. The Talaxian representative stood, a different individual than the one who had spoken before. And if we refuse these demands? Suman looked at him calmly. Then humanity will remember that the council sided with our enemies when we needed justice. We'll remember that you tried to keep us imprisoned on our own world, and when you need our help someday, and you will, we'll remember what you decided today. Another alien spoke. One of the species that had studied human history. You're threatening us. No, Suman said. I'm reminding you that humans are part of this galaxy now. You can accept us as allies or treat us as enemies, but you can't make us disappear. We're here. We're staying. Choose wisely. The council debated for hours. Some wanted to reject humanity's demands. Others pointed out that humans had just destroyed the most powerful military force in the sector. Others noted that several client species had already allied with Earth and more were likely to follow. Finally, the vote came. It wasn't unanimous, but it was enough. Earth was granted full membership in the Galactic Council. The old law about young species was officially abolished, and humanity's right to explore and settle space was recognized. Suman bowed to the council. Humanity thanks you for your wisdom. We hope to build a better galaxy together. As she left the chamber, one of the friendly aliens approached her. It was the floating ball of light that had studied human culture. You know they're afraid of you now, it said in its musical voice. I know, Suman said. Is that what you wanted? No, we wanted friends, but we'll settle for respect. On the colony world where the Villani lived, Dr. Yuna Kim attended a celebration. The Villani had declared their independence from the Talaxian Empire. Other enslaved species were doing the same across the galaxy. 3,000 years of Talaxian domination was crumbling. Thank you, Elder Kethis said to Yuna. Without your help, we would still be slaves. You freed yourselves, Yuna said. You gave us the intelligence we needed. You took the risk. You deserve the credit. What will happen now? Kethis asked. The Talaxians will not forget what happened here. They may come back. If they do, they'll face humanity again. And next time, they'll bring friends. Yuna smiled. The galaxy is changing, Elder Kethis. The old empires are learning that might doesn't make right. And the young species are learning they don't have to accept oppression. It's going to be an interesting future. Back in the solar system, engineers were already working on a massive project. Earth had captured 17 Talaxian ships that were too damaged to escape but not destroyed. Human scientists were taking them apart, learning every secret. Talaxian shield technology, Talaxian engines, Talaxian weapons. Within a year, human ships would be even more dangerous. Engineer Hyejin An walked through a captured Talaxian cruiser and marveled at the technology. But she also noted its weaknesses. The Talaxians had built their ships for comfort and efficiency. Human ships would be built differently, smaller, faster, more aggressive, built by a species that understood war. This is just the beginning, Hyejin said to her team. 5 years from now, human ships will be better than anything the galaxy has seen. 10 years from now, we'll be the ones other species fear. Is that a good thing? Someone asked. Hyejin thought about the crew members who had died in the first attack. She thought about the Talaxians who had said humans had no right to exist. It's better than being weak, she said finally. Much better. At a quiet memorial on Earth, Captain Minho stood with Jiwon at the wall that listed the names of everyone who had died in the war. Jiwon's sister was there, along with hundreds of others. Pilots, soldiers, Marines, people who had volunteered to defend humanity's right to the stars. Was it worth it? Ji-won asked quietly. Minho thought about the question. I don't know. We survived, we won. We proved we belong among the stars. But the cost was high. My sister died in the first attack, Ji-won said. She never got to see us win. She never got to see humanity join the Galactic Council. She just died because an alien decided we weren't worthy. I'm sorry, Minho said, don't be. She knew the risks. We all did. Ji-won touched her sister's name on the wall. But I hope this was the last war. I hope humanity can find peace now. Maybe, Minho said. But I doubt it. The galaxy knows what we're capable of now. Some species will want to ally with us. Others will want to destroy us before we get stronger. The next few decades are going to be dangerous. Then we better stay ready, Ji-won said. 5 years later, humanity had established colonies on 42 worlds. The Talaxian Empire had fractured into smaller states, none of them powerful enough to threaten Earth. The Galactic Council had reorganized itself, giving younger species more voice in decisions, and humans kept building. More ships, better weapons, stronger shields. They remembered the lesson learned when the Talaxians attacked. The galaxy respected strength. Peace was wonderful, but it only lasted as long as potential enemies feared the cost of war. Pilot Kyung-min, now retired from military service, taught at a flight school on Earth. His students were young and eager, learning to fly fighters through combat simulations. He taught them the maneuvers that had won the war. He taught them to use Earth's gravity as an advantage. He taught them to be unpredictable and aggressive. Remember, Kyung-min told his class, human ships might not be the fastest. Human weapons might not be the strongest. But human pilots are the best because we refuse to give up. That's our advantage. Use it. Captain Soyeon took the Silent Fury on a deep space exploration mission. They were looking for new worlds to settle and new species to meet. But the ship was armed and ready. Humans explored with hope but prepared for the worst. On the bridge, Soyeon looked at the stars and thought about how much had changed. 3 years ago, humans had taken their first steps into a galaxy that didn't want them. Now humanity had earned its place through blood and courage. Captain, we're picking up a signal, the communication officer said. It's from an unknown species. They're asking if we're friendly, Soyeon smiled. Tell them yes. Tell them we're humans from Earth. Tell them we come in peace. She paused. But make sure our weapons are charged just in case. At the United Nations building on Earth, Admiral Taeyang gave his final speech before retirement. He was old now, tired from the war and everything that came after. But he had one more message to deliver. We didn't ask for war, Taeyang said to the assembled representatives from every human nation. We didn't want to prove ourselves through violence. But when the galaxy told us we had no right to exist among the